Okay, this is the first kind of serious YouTube video I'm going to make, and it's on a subject that I have been doing a lot of research on and has been really interested in for a long time. And I hope that this will maybe give you a bit of an insight into some of the more interesting subjects that I've been contributing with to the public of the world. And it's all about God, right? Often when you say, I believe in God, people will say, well, do you also believe in the fairy tales and Santa Claus and the Christmas? And you get pretty ridiculed with the idea that you believe in something called God because you can't see it. As a conservative, this has been something that I've been really, digging into and tried to counter in many ways. And this is one of the main ways that I've been working on it. And maybe this could perhaps give you some kind of faith also in your own personal life. All right, so I mean, if you believe in God, many people are often, they have doubt whether God is there or not. And traditionally, especially in the Catholic frame, a lot of philosophers have been really trying to prove the existence of God. And this is one of the things that I've been working on as well, because I think that if you have like a scientific proof of God, then it's much more difficult to say as anybody, well, there's nothing as God, right? Because you have a scientific proof. This proof I've presented at Oxford University. So it's academically not proven, but really, it has been, within the sphere of academics and at St. Mary's Church at Oxford a few years back. So usually when you say you believe in God, you want to prove it, you have this idea about that there is, you go against the notion of Darwin. And to be honest, this is difficult, because Darwin is very much proved, right? I believe in Darwin. I think there is something as the species that's developing and has it has been developing over a long time, over millions of years. You can see it with your own eyes. You have fossils in the ground, and you have all these things. So to counter Darwin to me doesn't really make sense. So what I've been doing is I've tried to see this from a different angle. So bear with me. It's a bit complicated, but I hope if you stay with me for a while, and I'll try to explain it in a way that is comprehensible. Maybe you can, take this to your own self, whatever. All right. So actually, you see here behind me, you have two guys, right? That's difficult for me. One of them is Plato. He is here, and the other one is Aristotle. By the way, this picture is from Rome and made by a famous Italian Renaissance painter. So it's all about the philosophers. Anyways, the reason why I showed you this is because Plato and Aristotle are kind of the two main go guys when you talk about philosophy as such. Actually, Plato is the real main philosopher, and which you can see it. What he does is that he's pointing upwards. Right, he's pointing upwards, while Aristotle, he's pointing downwards. And if you look really close, I'll put this on the screen. You can see that Plato has this book called Timaeus, which is his kind of main work. And this is the most famous painting by the Italian Renaissance painter Michelangelo. I'm not sure who it was, but a very famous Italian Renaissance painter. And he believes that this book called Timaeus is really kind of the core work of Plato. Now, okay, it gets a little mystical, but I'll try to explain. Why is it that this book is so important? And it's because that in this book, Plato, he explains his understanding of God, right? In the ancient times, metaphysics, or the scientific understanding of God, was kind of the crown science, not like today where it's kind of been put to a side. in the old times, in the classical times, metaphysics was really something special. So this book, it's Timaeus, where Plato defines his understanding of God, is his main work, right? So what's his understanding of God then? That's interesting, right? How does Plato really see God? And this is where it gets a little difficult. So I will try to explain, and bear with me. So in the Greek times, not only Plato, but most of the Greeks, they believed that there was something called the world mind, or nous, as Plato calls it. It's a kind of a thing it's everywhere. That was kind of the understanding of what spirit was in the Greek time. And Plato defines this. He says that there's this soup of intelligence everywhere that is in between matter. He has this from a guy called Anaxagoras, which is he's kind of a teacher to Plato. And to really understand what's going on with this understanding of God as being intelligence, you have to understand that what Anaxagoras really tells about it. And what he tells us that there is in between the nucleus, the atoms, besides from being one of the first metaphysicians, Anaxagoras was also the founder of nuclear physics. And he says that there's these atoms everywhere. Atom means undividable. Between that, there is this soup of intelligence that is everywhere. Okay? God is kind of a, if you kind of use terms of today, you would say, sorry about that, that God is a kind of he is in his own dimension. Someone also calls it the ether, right? It's between everywhere. It's between all the small atoms. You talk about quantum physics as being also kind of a sister science to nuclear to metaphysics, and in a sense it is, right? Because nuclear physics or quantum physics is really all about the matter or things, and metaphysics is about God or intelligence that is in between everywhere. I know it's a little complicated, but to really understand these things, you need to understand what's going on, and also I think to really prove God, you have to be on the level of nuclear physics, right? Otherwise, it's not going to really count as a something that people would truly respect. Okay, anyway, that's a digression. So let me go on with the proof of God. So my proof of God is that if intelligence is everywhere, then it has to have some kind of impact on the physical world. And what is really this impact on the physical world? And Anaxagoras says that what happens when you are born is that you take a little piece of this intelligence and puts it into your body. And this little piece of intelligence is really your soul. You say that we are all gods, right? And the point is that this piece of intelligence that comes from God is, in a sense, also God in us. And through this little piece of intelligence, this little something, you live, right? This is what life is. Intelligence is what keeps you alive. Intelligence understood as, the ability to understand things, to analyze, to get sensory information, to remember, things that intelligence really are for. So, okay, you have this little piece of intelligence that is really coming from God. And how does that then again work? And please bear with me again. It is a little difficult, but I'll try to explain. Well, the way it works is that when you're born, you get into your body. And when you die, it floats up into the realm of God again. And this is really where all this discussion on, getting back to heaven is kind of revolves around, because maybe if you've been really treating your own life in a very, very bad manner, maybe you're not so welcome in with God again, right? And this is where people end up being in between heaven and earth, as specters or ghosts or whatever, actually as somewhere in between the realm of God and the realm of man, because they're too dirty, you could say, in sense of ethics. in their own soul. So it's not, taken back. That's a whole another discussion. Anyway, how can you prove it, right? The proof is pretty simple, actually. If you go back to the understanding of Darwin, Darwin says that everything evolves, and this is scientifically proved, right? Everything evolves. We evolve from somewhere. We come from the apes, and dolphins come from the dog, and everything evolves in a very, very slow manner. So everything changes in nature. That's how nature works. It changes all the time. There's only one thing that doesn't change, and that's intelligence. Having intelligence, the way intelligence works, it's never changing. And all species, being plants or animals or human beings, they have this intelligence. This is what defines them being alive, and it's the same everywhere, wherever you are. Intelligence is exactly the same in a bumblebee, in an oak tree, in a rabbit, in a bacteria, in the human being. It's the same. It's the same ability to understand, and understand sensory emotions, to remember stuff like that. The only difference between us and a bumblebee is that we have more intelligence. We have more of it. And this is really what defines us human beings as being kind of top of the chain, is that we are some of the most intelligent species on Earth. We have, someone says that dolphins have more intelligence than we have, but we are kind of the top of the chain there. So that's really why we say that we are made in the image of God, and we are supposed to care for this world as a servants of God's, because we are the ones who have most intelligence. This gives us most responsibility. If we just do whatever we want, we can destroy the world. If we take responsibility for the world, we can actually make it beautiful and lush and amazing. Okay. But the only reason why that intelligence is exactly the same in all species is because it cannot be a part of the whole evolutionary cycle. If it was a part of the evolutionary cycle, we would have more intelligence, it would work in different ways, we would have all different kinds of intelligence. So it's not really a part of the evolutionary cycle. So life is not a part of the evolutionary cycle. Why? Because it comes from outside. That's the whole point of Anaxagoras. That when we are born, intelligence comes from outside and is suffused into our body. That's the only explanation. Otherwise, it would be different from our intelligence would be different from the intelligence of the bumblebee, essentially. So this is a proof. I think it's scientifically sound, right? Essentially, it's essentially scientifically sound to say that there is intelligence. It comes from somewhere else. It's from the ether, perhaps, but it is not something of this world. It's otherworldly. Otherwise, it would be changing. So this is actually the proof of God, and so far it hasn't been, counter proven, right? I've tried to initiate discussions with other physicians. I have a lot of friends who are, within the material, physical realm. Me as being a metaphysician, and to be honest, most of them they are like, okay, I mean that's not bad. I've talked a little with. One of a very famous physicist of Denmark, of the Niels Bohr Institute, Holger Bech Nielsen. He was one. Yeah, he has developed the quantum physics a lot, and he's like, okay, yeah, well, I'm in. It's not bad. To be honest, I haven't really been able to put him on a show or anything, but I would really like to dig more into this whole discussion on between physics and metaphysics, and maybe we can actually evolve this whole discussion on what God is really. So that's the proof, and it has a lot of consequences, right? If you have this proof and it's not counter-proved, right, then you have this scientifically based proof of God, and then you can't just say that, well, do you believe in Santa Claus? No, because it's scientifically proved. And I hope that if you believe in God, right, and if you want people to understand and believe in God in a positive manner, share this video. Let other people understand. Give them the ability to actually argue in a discussion between people who have faith and who doesn't have faith. Because this proof has been, I made it 10 years ago, and it's kind of been circling around in different circles, but it hasn't really reached mainstream, really. And I think if all the faith communities really want to prove God and stand on the ground, which is not being ridiculed, this maybe could help you share your ideas in a way that people respect it. I will try to continue this discussion with different peoples who are maybe into this. I have been doing it on Oxford, as I told you, and I hope to also maybe discuss it with other people from other creeds and faiths, and the Jews and the Muslims also, maybe also the Catholics. I have some friends or connections there, I'd say. But maybe this is the answer, right? I really hope it, and it's not for me to say that my answer will be, countering other answers. And that's not really the point. The point is that I'm fighting for people to understand that there is something called God. There is something called spirituality. There's something called good and ethics and really moral things in the world. People talk about sin and about good deeds and everything. And if you believe that God is unity and something that, puts us together, maybe this will give you a scientific explanation on what's really going on. Because then how does this God, realm of God really work? And logically, oh my God, sorry, it's in English. I'm not really a native English speaker, but logically, all this realm of God would be united, right? Intelligence, there wouldn't be boundaries between the intelligence that is within God. So, and everything that is united, how is it united? It's united with love, right? So I believe that the realm of God is one big love, dimension. When you come back, when you die, when you lose your poor, your the one you like, and you can, if they have lived a good life and have actually kept their soul beautiful and clean, then they will just go up to God and they will wait for you there. Maybe this is really something that consoled me when I lost my mother. I believe that when I finish my workings here on earth, I will meet all the loved ones that I lost, right? When I die. And maybe this can also give you an explanation onto if you have lost someone that was dear to you, that that if they were good people, the probability that you will actually meet them again is pretty high, right? Because they're not gone; they're just within the realm of God again. And maybe this will give you some consolation also, and some faith in that there is meaning in this life. I think it also gives a lot of motivation to actually also live a good life here on this part of the divide. Because, if you're not going back to God, right? If you're living a, terrible life, you'll be trapped, right? In between, maybe. And I think that's a good argument for actually trying to make a life that's not full of hatred and ridicule and people, you're doing evil things, because it will trap you here. There's a lot of unhappy souls, I think, that's trapped in between here and God, and we don't really see them because that's kind of how it works. But if we want to be a part of that, if you want to return to God, I think it's important that we try to be the best, to our best ability, to do good things in this world and help and support and be honest and do good, right, to other people. So yeah, that's the proof. And I'm trying to experiment a little with this format with the YouTube channel, and maybe this is one of the ways we can use it. I hope also to get other guests onto the YouTube channel, and maybe we could, further discussion. I mean, if you see this and you feel that you have something to contribute, or you have like kind of a pedigree on that, please, leave me a comment, send me a mail. I will be happy to to engage in discussions on with people who are wise and intelligent. And also, this is something. This is a message to the youth, right? I see many young people going on the internet and being YouTube preachers and everything, and I think it's really heartwarming, right? It's really heartwarming to see that young people are going out there and trying to give people faith. And if one of you guys want to join, I mean, you're absolutely welcome. I mean, if you want to ask me questions on all these things, you're welcome. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have. I think really what changes the world is the young people. I'm an old guy, right? I've been around for a long time, but the youth is really the hope of the future. And I see that YouTube has actually been kind of a platform for preaching, and that's really I think that's amazing. And I hope that maybe some of you young persons, young guys, that you reach out and ask me to join you, whatever. So yeah, that's it. That's the proof. I'll be back with other things, and consider subscribing and then give this video a like. Maybe we can spread the word of love and God, and there is something good in this world. There is. We have to keep faith that there is something good in this world, and we have to fight for it to be realized as a beautiful, harmonious, and place of goodness in this world.